Welcome back to the Let's Talk Baseball podcast. I'm your host, Michael Herrera, joined by my good friend Jacob Payne. We are excited to be back after a little spring break, little break. We got some exciting things to talk about, Jacob. Some surprising teams to talk about, whether it's exciting us, like how about your Arizona Diamondbacks first place? And of course, we got to talk about they won the game today, tying the single season record to start off a season. The Tampa Bay Rays 13-0. Granted, some of the teams aren't the best, but we're going to get into that in a bit. But some teams, Jacob, that have also been a little bit disappointing. How about the Seattle Mariners 5-8, the Philadelphia Phillies 4-8, the Cardinals 5-7, and just a lot of things around here. But Jacob, how you doing, my man? How's it been?
I've been good, Michael. I've been good. Been watching a lot of baseball, trying to keep as updated as I possibly can. No single human can watch every single baseball game um in one time, any given day. But I've been doing my best to keep up with as much of the scores along with watching just about every Dodger game I can. So, it's been very enjoyable beginning of the season. Very exciting to see the teams that are performing right now, and the teams that aren't. And I'm glad we're gonna be getting into it.
Yeah, it's been good. I went to Seattle for spring break. I got that little Mariners Luis Castillo shirt behind me. It was a great game. AJ Pollock knew I was coming, hit 2 home runs. It was great to see him back in there. But yeah, let's get into it. So obviously, where we were at obviously was our before opening day, or it was opening day, and we gave little predictions of which series would go which way or not. Some we got right, some we got not. But as the season went on, we'd expect, oh, okay, it's gonna even it out. And no, for some teams, it is not. Some teams have really surprised us. And I want to get your thoughts first of all. I want to head to the American League West. How about your Los Angeles Angels and Texas Rangers tied for first place? Jacob, what's going on there?
Well, it's a couple of things. Obviously, the Athletics at the bottom, not a surprise to any single person in the world of baseball. Um, the Mariners and the Astros, the Mariners, they have obviously been struggling. Um, but it's been a lot of close games from what I've seen. It hasn't been the best of games, um, by any means, but if we look at some of these games, yeah, they got outscored in a couple of them. The Cubs being able to rally late and take a thrilling game 14-9. That obviously, if your offense is scoring 9 runs and you lose the game, that's not a loss on the offense. That's a lapse of pitching or defense. Um, a 2-3 game, a 6-7 game. A lot of one-run games with these Mariners where it's a toss-up. And so if you're losing one-run games, to me, all that really spells is either A, lack of clutch factor, or B, just not really being full throttle yet. And I think that's what we're seeing from the Mariners right now. Has it been a very tough schedule? No. But should Mariners fans be worried as of right now? I don't think so. Like I said, a lot of these games are close games. Maybe the offense isn't really all there yet. Um, and so I don't think it's a lot to be worrying about for Mariners fans. Astros fans, on the other hands, that's where we get into some interesting stuff. Um, we've seen the Astros blow several really bad games. I mean, not to put down any of the teams that have been able to beat the Astros, but some of these games they are blowing with their bullpen, which is supposed to be their prize piece. That's supposed to be, along with their starting rotation, that should be the where the Astros can rely on, and that's what they've relied on so heavily in past seasons. So to see their bullpen not really showing up for any of these games, is something to be a little on the worry side. Obviously, when whatever we're talking about here within the first, week, 2 weeks of baseball, nobody should be downright completely worried about their team because there's plenty of baseball to play out. It's a 162 game season. It's not the NFL where we have 17 games. So nothing to be terribly worried about. Angels and Rangers both have been playing semi decently. Have I liked everything I've seen from them? No. Have I liked from their everything I've seen from their rotations? No, but their offense has been clicking for the most part. The Angels, Mike Trout is an absolute demon and has been forever, and he's proving it this season. Shohei Ohtani, I mean, what are you gonna do? He's the best player in baseball. Is he going to have a couple of down games? Yeah, but are you going to expect that for the rest of the season? Absolutely not. This guy's going to even out. You know that for a fact. The Rangers offense has been a little bit boomer bust, but a little bit more boom than bust, and that's great. And picking up their starting rotation, which hopefully will warm into the season, is really great. Andrew Heaney with 9 consecutive strikeouts. I don't know if you caught that one. That was awesome. That was really cool to see. I knew that guy could do it. I mean, he's got some nasty stuff. It's just when his slider's flat, the ball leaves the yard. It's been his Achilles heel his entire career, the home run ball, and it's because that flat slider. Either A, the people hit the flat slider, or B, he doesn't pitch the flat slider, and they know a fastball's coming. But when he's on, and he's nasty. Granted, it was against the Royals, who are a very, very poor hitting team, by the way, which we'll probably get into at some point.
Did you
But
see their
their statistics are
averages? I was come
horrific.
on.
Oh, they're horrific. They're bad. But like I said, anything in the first 2 weeks, I don't think I think anything you take with a grain of salt. But right now, they're just not hitting. But to another point, we'll get to at some point. But it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. We didn't think the West was going to start out this way, much less, you know, assuming they would play the same. If we see the same stuff down the line, the Astros can't keep it together. The Mariners not hitting on all cylinders. There is room to play for these Angels and Rangers, but it's really going to take. Realistically, it's going to take a mammoth effort from the Angels and Rangers to continue this pace and in hopes that either A, the Astros and Mariners don't play well, or B, the Angels and Rangers have to play very incredibly. So we'll see how that plays down the line.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is not how we expected this season to start off. Obviously, we've talked very highly of the Mariners. I mean, we like the Rangers and the and the Rangers and the Angels, but the Astros have shown how dominant they've been in the past years. The Mariners have shown that they're ready to come and dominate, and they've both fell short of the expectations. Like, granted, it's the first 2 weeks, and you never know what you're gonna get. But I mean, if like you said, if they keep keeping it up, the Angels, their top hitter right now, as of overall, is Logan O'Hoppe, their rookie catcher who leads the team in homers. That is their top hitter. When that's your top hitter, you know things are clicking. When it's not Mike Trout or Ohtani, because it's not like Ohtani and Trout aren't doing their thing, because they are. But you got O'Hoppe doing his thing. Hunter Renfroe 3 games in a row with the homer the few days ago. Taylor Ward's doing his thing. These are guys that are coming up. Granted, now you have some things that are a little concerning from guys like Drury, Rengifo. Don't even get me started on Rendon. Like, what are you doing, man? It's just what can I say? But I like the promise this team shows. Like I said, that was there when the Mariners did destroy the Angels, and Jose Suarez did get rocked. I felt bad for the guy, but the Angels they still look like a team that can. They have the chance. And granted, they had the chance last year, and they went on a 2-game losing streak. Not 2-game, 2-week game losing streak. So you never know what can happen again beginning of the year, but I like the way this team is looking out. which also makes me scared if Otani stays an Angel. But that's just a topic for until we get to July and June and see where they are. The Rangers. What can you say about the Rangers, man? They've showed up, have one of the most dominant pitching rotations in baseball with a few questions here and there, but they still got guys getting going. Who would have thought that Mitch Garver would have been absolutely rocking it behind the plate as a DH? Jonah Heim's been great, the walk-off the other night. Josh Young has been pulling up. Nathaniel Lau has been great. Brad Miller has been good. Our guy Corey Seager has been good, but I don't know if you saw Jacob, but that hamstring strain is going to keep him out for at least 4 weeks. A lot of injuries, a lot of shortstops. TA down for a couple weeks. We'll get into that later. O'Neal Cruz, the collision at home plate, he's gone for at least 4 months. They said, which is a big blow to a Pirates team that was also making some surprises. But these injuries can have a very big effect. But with these teams that I feel like the players are just clicking right now, like we can't hopefully expect for them to decrease if they just continue at this. Now, granted, it's the Angels and it's the Rangers, but you never know, because I like the guys that are showing promise from this team. Josh Jung finally stepping into that third base step. I'm happy to see that. Marcus Semien has struggled a little bit. But this overall team, and even when you go to the pitching player, the pitching it's just awesome. I mean, Jacob deGrom had a rough first start. I mean, he got rocked. I was like, whoa. But he came back and he's doing it. Actually, the more I look at this rotation, they've been kind of struggling, Jacob. 4.32 ERA for DeGrom, 6.32 ERA from the Eovaldi, and 8.22 from Heaney. And guess what? They're still tied for first. Like, how are your 3 most dominant pitchers possibly dominant top 3 in baseball have all ERAs over 4, and you're still in first place? If the Rangers just keep using that formula, they can easily make playoffs. Easily. Granted, you guys got and Martin Perez pop off, John Gray pop off. Their bullpen ain't looking too bad either. The more and more I'm looking at this Rangers team, the more and more I am liking, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. For these episodes, obviously, we get into the season a lot different from the off season. We'll be going over the series and what we've been seeing from these players, what we've been seeing from the teams, and overall, if it's a not as entertaining series, like let's say the Reds and the A's, and nothing really happens because they're, let's face it, the Reds and the A's. We're not going to go over it, but there's some things to cover. We'll cover. But yeah, Jacob, I like the Rangers and the Angels. The Rangers and the Angels. Do you think either of these teams can really keep it up as we head towards our 3rd month of baseball?
Yeah, can they? Absolutely. Will they? I think it's really gonna depend on for the Angels, I think it's gonna depend on can the offense stay on top. So right now their offense is really clicking for the most part. Can they keep doing that for a reasonable amount of games throughout the season? If they can, great. They're gonna be in a solid place. Come down towards the trade deadline, which I think is going to be very important for these Angels. For the Rangers, can their starting rotation be as dominant as we expect them to be? Is their offense clicking? Yes, absolutely. Are they going to give you 10 runs every game? No, realistically, they are not. If they end up doing that, they will be one of the best offenses in history of baseball. And they're not going to be. I hate to break it to you, Rangers fans, you're not going to see 10 runs a game every game for the rest of the season. Now, that being said, can we see Jacob deGrom be Jacob deGrom? Can we see Andrew Heaney be prime Andrew Heaney? Can we see Martin Perez continue and dominate in that third, fourth arm role? Can Nathaniel Uvalde roll back the years at least somewhat and become as dominant as we know he can be? Those are the questions that we need to be asking, and whether or not that's going to happen is going to play a big role in whether or not these Rangers can be a competitive team this season. Starting off, pitching rotation's not great, but you know what? Bullpen and batters have been holding them up, and that's great. You need somebody to be inflating your team at the beginning of the season because not everybody's going to be firing on all cylinders, right? If you look at different teams, almost none of them are firing on all cylinders. I will say with the exception of the Rays, but we'll get into why that's the case. Um, but your whole team's not going to be firing on all cylinders, and the question is, for the first few weeks, can the other facets of your team hold you up? For right now, they probably can. For an entire 162 game season, I think not.
It'll be an interesting storyline that we will keep up with. I tried to find something nice to say about the A's, but the 3-10, man. I just looked at their stat page and it just made me sad. Um, I don't know. Just don't lose 30 games in a row. Let's make that a goal. They've lost how many in a row? Let's see what's their streak. They've lost one in a row. Okay, they won again. They didn't get totally destroyed by Tampa, so that's always something to look at. Let's go to the Central and the AL now. In order, we have the Tigers in last place at 2-9. Yeesh. Royals at 4-9. Your Chicago White Sox at 5-8. What are they doing, baby? The Cleveland Guardians at 7-6. And how about those Minnesota Twins? 8-4. My guy, our guy Joey Gallo goes on the IL, but they've got some Minnesota magic heating up over there, and you love to see it as a team that we've talked a little highly of this offseason of what they've been able to do, what they can do. Their walk-off bunt the other day was really impressive because that's obviously small. We love small ball here. We're going to talk about it. But Jacob, Joey Gallo was their highest hitting player on the team as it looks like right now, besides Byron Buxton, who's been killing it too. Obviously, Kyle Farmer is still a question with him getting hit in the face the other day. Is this a little sign of what's to come for these injuries, or do you think they can still keep it up?
Right now, I think it's nothing to be really scared of. That Kyle Farmer hit to the face, that's one of those freak accidents you can never really plan on, or avoid. It's gonna happen. It's one of the ugly parts of baseball that nobody ever wants to see. Um, it's something that's the nature of the game, right? You want to pitch guys inside, get them off the plate, make them respect you as a pitcher. But if you're not 100% confident with your fastball, you let it go a little bit early and it runs inside and hits somebody, in that upper chest area, in that face. You just that's not what you're meaning to do, right? You're meaning to keep them on their toes, keep them respecting the plate and respecting you as a pitcher. You never want to hit anybody, at least not in this era of baseball. Um, you just don't want to see that. And so that's while that is a tough hit, not something that it should have you worried as like, oh my God, he's got some non-contact injuries. I think those are the most scary injuries of baseball because um, it either spells somebody who's not training properly, stretching properly, or something of that sort, or just some real bad news, bad news, non-contact injury. So, is it an issue? Yeah, probably. Is it something that the Twins should be really frightened that is going to affect their season? As of right now, not yet. Um, Going on with the Guardians, we're seeing a lot of what we thought we would see. Um, Not very high-scoring games, but good games. Good games all around. Not a terribly high offense. But we kind of assumed that coming in with the additions of Josh Bell. Um, we figured that that's where they were targeting. Is their offense, and has it been helpful yet? Not quite. Not really. Not. We haven't seen that effect. But again, 2 weeks into baseball, nothing really to be worried about. The White Sox, that TA injury, that's gonna hurt, and that's what hurt him last year. We talked about this. If one dude goes out and that kills your entire season, that's on you. That's on you as a team. That's on you as a manager. That's on you as a GM. Like you can't let one dude getting injured ruin your entire season. Now, obviously, TA is a very influential player, and we saw him in the World Baseball Classic. He had some very, very key hits in key times, very clutch, great defensively. He's a stud, dude. I mean, he is one of the best shortstops in baseball. but he has yet to have a very healthy season the past few. I mean, it's unfortunate to see. As a baseball fan, you don't like to see those guys go down for long periods of times. Those Bryce Harpers that are just injury prone, those Jacob deGroms, like you don't want to see the best of the best on the sidelines consistently throughout every year. But if I'm the White Sox, I've got to figure out how to keep this dude healthy. Or you got to think about um dishing him out for something. Like look at the Mets. Um they when they had Jacob deGrom, when he was firing on all cylinders, he was absolutely lights out, but they could not keep him healthy. And so what do? You gamble on a different veteran who has proven to be healthy. Now, is he on the IL? Yes. Um, but will that be a consistent thing throughout the season? We have yet to see. We will find out. Um, we'll find out if their gamble paid off. But like for someone like TA, if I'm the White Sox, I've got to tackle this issue at the forefront. What is going wrong? Why is he getting injured consistently throughout the season? Some of them are freak accidents. You can't avoid those, but like, pulled hammies, strained groins, um, issues with your throwing arm, elbow issues. Like you've got to start handling some of these players differently if your regiment's not working out and you're seeing these non-contact injuries more often than not. Um, Royals and Tigers, what can I say other than this is what we went into the season expecting? Did we kind of see a little bit of good things happening from the Royals? Yes. Have we seen it yet? God, no. Oh my God, their batting average is horrific.
It's
Their
so
team batting average
bad.
last I saw
Oh,
was like 182.
I can
That
check right
is
now.
that is horrific, man. That is two out of your 10 batters are getting hits. That's not good. They had like 9, 10 players at one time under under 200. That is It's not okay, man. That's just not okay. In fact, I think there was like 3 of them with under 100. That is not a recipe for good baseball. Is it something to be super worried about for the long running? No. I mean, slow starts happen. Slow offensive starts happen. I mean, that's not something they should be absolutely terrified by. But we got to kick it into gear. If we're 30 games into season and we're seeing the same things over and over and over again, they can't get hits. Now we're starting to get a little worried. Um, but nothing too worrying at this point. Detroit Tigers. I mean, there's nothing much to say there. We didn't expect anything from them before the season. We don't expect anything from them now. Can they turn things around? Sure. Can they play better baseball and get some wins? Absolutely. Are they likely to make any sort of waves? No. Call a
What
spade a spade.
happened to Javier Baez, man?
I saw a compilation of his swings. He is not seeing the ball. He just is not seeing the ball. There are some swings where he is just so far out of the zone. Like the ball is never a strike and he's swinging at it. Now, granted, there are times where he can hit the ball way out of the zone and, to each his own, but it, it's not a good state of times if you're a Detroit Tigers fan. Um, are there things to look forward to in the future? Probably, but from what we're seeing right now, this iteration of the Tigers, it's just it's a non-starter. It's something that you really don't need to talk about. It's one of those teams where
What can you
you're
say?
only talking about them because of how bad they are. It's the Athletics, it's the Rockies. It's the teams that are at the bottom of the barrel, and that's the state of baseball. There's going to be teams that are just clearly at the bottom. I hope for the sake of their franchise that within the next few years we can begin to actually rebuild and get some prospects in there and start fielding some better lineups in terms of more rookies and heavy on rookies, I don't know why they went heavy on Javi Baez, and honestly, I don't even know why he went there. It never made any sense to me. I mean, at the time, the Tigers were still really non-competitors in a bad division. Like, you think that you going there will sell the team to other free agents? One free agent signing doesn't sell anything. Now, if you're like the Rangers and you go pick up several free agents, now we're talking. Now you're spending money. But one dude, nah, go next.
Yeah, it's been rough for those two teams. Hopefully the Royals can pick it up. But man, I mean, Salvi was hitting good. Melendez was hitting in the WBC. Bobby Witt had some moments in the WBC. Just sucks to see of a team we really, really hoping to see some stuff for. Brady Singer kind of bringing it down, but again, we'll never know. But this White Sox team, it's not exactly like hitting's the problem, Jacob, which is kind of what you would expect it to be. Luis Robert has been popping off with 5 home runs, a 340 average, a 380, 340 on base, and a 600 plus slugging. Yohan Moncada's been hitting. How about our guy Hanser Alberto with a 3-run shot yesterday? That was good. Jake Berger, Oscar Colas, even Grandal. Obviously, TA was hitting. Andrew Benintendi's kind of struggling. Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn are pulling it up, which you love to see that. But they're pitching, Jacob. They're pitching. If I told you a few weeks ago that by the second week of the season, their second best pitcher would be Mike Clevinger, I think you'd laugh at me. But it's just what it is. I mean, how though? You have Lance Lynn, Michael Kopech, and Lucas Giolito. And don't get me wrong, you got Dylan Cease who has a
I was gonna
165.
say, I was gonna say, don't forget about that Dylan
Yeah,
Cease kid who
Dylan
did get
Cease.
rocked for an inning. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. With a rotation with that features Michael Kopech and Lance Lynn, we have seen those dudes be absolute phenoms. Michael Kopech especially, I feel like he doesn't have a very deep pitch selection, but man, is his stuff nasty.
Nasty.
I mean, we're talking devastating. Falls off the table. You have no chance of hitting it if you don't know it's coming. And to see him get absolutely shellacked in his couple starts, it's not terribly worrying yet. But if we see, if we're a couple of weeks in, like I said, I think the 30 game mark is where we start to see, can we trust teams? Can we not trust teams? Are there things that are really glaring issues? If we start to get to that 30 game era where we got like 6 starts in and he just keep getting rocked, something's got to change. Something's got to change. He's got to add a different pitch, and it doesn't even have to be as devastating as some of his other pitches, but just to get the hitters off his back. I mean, they're all over him right now. They're seeing beach balls. And that's a tough look. That's a tough look for Kopech.
There was this whole thing about him possibly tipping his pitches against the Giants, and that is kind of what happened with some of his breaking balls. They was going in more with the glove, and with regular fastballs he wasn't, and they just saw that and they got to him. But they've been sad, man. And a lot of these guys are in contract years. Lance Lynn, a 7.31 ERA, contract year. Lucas Giolito, 6 ERA, contract year. And their bullpen some of it has been good, but some of it has also been really bad. Jake Dietman, 7.94 ERA. Kendall Graveman, 5.79. Gregory Santos, 6.75. Ronaldo Lopez, 6.35, contract year. And our guy Joe Kelly, 10.13 ERA. Obviously, beginning of the season, not a lot of playing time, so you hope these guys can bring it back, and then obviously they can. But that starting rotation scares me more than anything for them, and you hope that they can bring it back. I just the baseball fan in general. The Guardians, they've been a pretty surprising team. Not in the fact that they've been good, not in the fact that they've been bad, but they've been staying on the top. They've been kind of doing what you would expect them to do, but not really, because you expect them to win the division and just be rolling. But no, the Twins are doing that, so that's why I think this might be a little surprising roster. But the more and more I look at this offense, Jacob, the more and more I'm kind of worried. I mean, your best hitter is Miles Straw, who has been lacking in power for like the past 3 years. J Ram has been great. He's been hitting. Steven Kwan has been hitting. Oscar Gonzalez though has been struggling. Josh Bell, did the Padres put a curse on him, or like what happened? He has been struggling. He's like higher on base than he does slugging, and that's what they brought him in for. Mike Zunino has actually been hitting. He's been hitting really nice. Ahmed Rosario has been struggling. But Josh Naylor has been struggling, and Andres Jimenez has kept it up. But that some of these guys that are kind of struggling is concerning for where they are at. Tristan McKenzie obviously went down towards the beginning of the year for like 4 weeks, at minimum 6 weeks, and that's what you hate to see, especially for someone we were talking so highly of. But their pitching has been able to keep it relatively good. They brought in a guy, Hunter Gaddis, and man, he had some light innings as a rookie. Shane Bieber obviously doing Shane Bieber stuff. Aaron Savale doing some stuff. Emmanuel Clase doing some stuff. Zach Plezak, but overall, I mean, the Guardians are going to be dominant. I think that's a fact. I think that more and more they will get more and more dominant. How many moves might they need to make? Well, that depends if these guys keep struggling. Like if Josh Bell keeps struggling, man, like I don't know what to do. Like, do you just bench him? Phantom IL him? Like I don't know. Like it's just a question. We've seen benching already with Tyler O'Neill, but granted that was a different issue. But you just hate to see those guys that you brought in for a reason, come in and disappoint. And
You
go
know,
ahead.
on that note, I would like your opinion on the whole Tyler O'Neill situation. What did you think of that?
I I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know he was that fast until I was looking at some of his older replays. But you could tell he wasn't being 100%, and that's just a fact. No matter what you want to say, he wasn't giving 100%. Why that was, I don't know. It could have been an injury thing, but he would have been put on the IL or something, or benched even more, if that. But it just didn't look like he was trying to run. I mean, granted, it's hard to be a Cardinals fan right now, but as a Cardinals player who's trying to make it out, you got to keep that going. And I don't think necessarily it's entirely on him, but I think if there's something deeper going down, then he should just come out and say it. Because I know he was a little upset by the publicity of it all with his manager, and he was upset. He stated that. But I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. I mean, if you're benching an all-star caliber player for like you gotta say what happened. But that play, I don't know, man. It's hard to be a Cardinals fan right now. Tyler, he was rumored of some trade rumors. I don't know, but that's just a whole nother story. And I think no matter what happens, you gotta just give it your all, even if you are injured. I mean, not to say like, oh, if you're torn ACL, you should go out there and pitch another 5 innings or go ahead and steal a base, but you should just try to give it your all, man. Even if you got, if you're like, if I'm down, if I'm Tyler O'Neill, and that's a World Series game where I have a chance to clinch the World Series, and I have an injury, I'm still running the fast as I can home. Like I don't know if that's just me or if that's, I mean, that's what I would do even to risk it. I don't know, but yeah. What do you?
I agree with what Ollie did. Um, in fact, I don't mind him blasting Tyler O'Neill on on the media, saying straight up, we benched him because he did not put in 100% effort. That is what it is. We don't want to see it, and I 100% agree with that. What I don't agree with is he found out by way of the media. Tyler O'Neill found out about that situation by way of the media. I think as Marmol, you go in, you sit him down, if that either that night or the next morning, and you say, look, you're getting benched, and here's why. Um, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that again. And you know what? I know there were arguments because I think the big argument as to why he wasn't given 100% is because he thought he was going to be hosed. Um, I don't care. I don't know if that's just me or what, but I don't care if you think you're a host, whatever. I One of the things that I am absolutely like boils my blood is watching people not run to first because they think they're gonna get out. That 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 drives me up a wall, Michael. Like seriously, I can't stand it from professional players not running to first base, like running 50% because you think you hit a ground ball and you're gonna be out. get that out of baseball. Seriously, for good. Because how many times have we seen people overthrow balls, underthrow balls, plays that are close enough by a hair? Some dude double clutches a ball because he didn't grip it right the first time. He trips and fall. Like, there is so many things that can happen in the game of baseball. It's not 100% an out, even if you just drive it straight to the shortstop or straight to the second baseman or hell, straight to the first baseman. I've seen first basemen fumble it 12 times and not even make the first base. Like, is that something that's going to happen? Probably not, but can it? Yes. It drives me nuts seeing players not run full speed. Even when they pop out, like, we've seen players drop balls or miscommunication happens in the outfield and players collide. Or the more common thing is sometimes it's a high sky, you lose the ball. Sometimes you lose it in the sun. Like, shit happens. I can't stand people not running. And don't even get me started on people like watching a ball that goes to the outfield because they think it's a home run, but really it just is driven to the center fielder. Oh man. Like,
Dude,
if you pulverize the ball and hit it 500 feet, stare at it all you want. Go for it. But if you're standing there in the box watching a baseball, you better hope that ball gets on the outfield. Because
you
if or it gets out of play. Because if it doesn't, you're sitting on the bench. Like, if I'm a manager and I see any of that shit, any of the stuff that I described, you're on the bench 100%.
yeah.
I don't care who you are. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, doesn't matter. If you're not giving 100% at all times of the baseball in the game, you're on the bench. I 100% agree with handling the situation as Marmol did, with the exception of not going to him first.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, but you just reminded me of that play in the 2020. I think it was, I don't know, I mean not 2020, sorry, 2018. I don't know if that was World Series. I think it was World Series or NLCS of Manny Machado. He lined it and he thought, okay, that's gone, and he was pimping it, and it was a very long swing, and I was like, ooh, come on, dude, you don't want that to happen. Let's stay in the Central for a bit because the Central is a very interesting topic to talk about. Who would expect? I mean, not to say that they're a bad team, but we didn't think they'd be this great to start the season. 8-4 for the Milwaukee Brewers, 7-5 for my Pittsburgh Pirates. We love it here in Pittsburgh. They're having fun out there. Our Chicago Cubs, Bellingers coming back tomorrow. I'm going to the first game back. I got center field seats all the way down. You know I had to. Gonna wear my belly jersey. St. Louis kind of been disappointing, like you said. In Cincinnati, what can you say? The only things I'm gonna say about Cincinnati is Nick Lodolo, stud, all star. That's their all star. Oh, by the way, Jason Vosler, how's your 3 home runs? Like one of the hottest hitting streaks to start this season. I was like, who is this kid? This got DFA'd from the Giants. And I was like, okay, bet. Let's see what he can do. But again, it's not a lot's happening in Cincy, so we'll see what let's see how that approaches. Let's go all the way up. The Cardinals, man, like you talked about, they've had some guys been doing it. Obviously, guys like O'Neal, like Arenado, like Gorman. Jordan Walker is gonna give Kelvin Carroll and James Outman a run for their money for that Rookie of the Year title, because he's been killing it on both sides of the ball. Tommy Edman has been great. Paul Goldschmidt has been great, but this team isn't really putting it together. And it's really because it's not because their offense is bad, because their offense is pretty good, and not because their pitching is bad either. I mean, Jack Flaherty has been nice. Jordan Montgomery has been real nice. Steven Matz, well, I mean, as you get towards down the line, you have more and more question marks. So that pitching is a very huge question mark. But I just think they are not coming up in big spots. The Cardinals.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, to start off, what a crazy beginning to a career that we're seeing from Jordan Walker, huh? Um, that kid, that kid's doing it all for the Cardinals right now. Really, really impressive to see. I think last I saw was a 12-game hitting streak.
Yeah, I think
Start
so.
off a career. That's wild, dude. I couldn't imagine, you know, going the first few at bats with striking out or popping out, but hit streak, 12-game hit streak to start off your career. That's wild. Great stuff to see from him. But yeah, with the rest of the Cardinals roster, eh, not what you wanted to see as a Cardinals fan. All in all, not something to be absolutely terrified about. Like we said, beginning of the season, but kind of what we had talked about preseason, what their issues would be with this roster, with that being depth and possible pitching depth, is kind of coming to light. Is it going to be a problem for the rest of the season? We'll see. But is it something to be a little worried about? Yeah, absolutely. With the Reds, they're the Reds. Yeah. The Cubs, on the other hand, they're interesting. Interesting. Having a lot of good games.
Belly's been
Good offense.
hot. That 14-9 game, I was like, oh yeah, give me that belly bomb. Ooh, I was so happy.
For now, and hopefully, for his sake and for the sake of baseball, I hope he has a bounce back season. I truly do. I know there's people out there, Dodger fans who would be spiteful if Bellinger had a good season, his first season away from the Dodgers, but you want to see guys like that succeed. He's a lovable guy. He's never been one of those, douchebag arrogant players where you want to see fail. He's a lovable dude that you want to see succeed, and so for his sake, I hope he continues to play well. Um, the Pirates, man, those Pirates, man, are they doing some special stuff over in their territory? That honestly, that's just what you love to see. Um, they've been doing it, man. That's a tough break with O'Neal Cruz going down, man. When I saw that, my heart sank because I know right now what he means to that baseball team. And is he a grizzled veteran who for a fact will put up 40 home runs and 100 RBIs? I don't know. I mean, he's not a veteran, but can he do that? Maybe, possibly. He's definitely got the talent to. But you know what he does have? He's got heart. He's got energy. He's one of those young, hungry players that just wants to play baseball. And to see one of those guys go down in such a weird way, like I saw the collision. Was it a late slide? Yeah. Was it an awkward slide? Absolutely. Was it a necessary slide? I mean, was it a close play? Yeah, but I mean, if you're that late, you can't slide. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt the catcher. At best, you can run through the plate and tag the edge, and at worst, I mean, baseball's a long season, Michael, and so do I think in a World Series game, do you slide there to try and be safe? Yeah, yeah. You put your body on the line. Game 7, tie game, bottom of the ninth. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's what you're there for. You're there to win. Um, but I don't know. What was it? Game 12 for them? Game 11, game 10 of the 162 game season? I don't know, man. Like as a manager, I would rather see him run past the plate. If it's too late to slide, and if it's going to be a close play and you're not ready to slide, run through the plate. Hell, jump over the catcher. Just just avoid injury. Because that late slide, we've seen it time and time again. That late slide is nasty business. It is nasty business. You very, very often see knee injuries, ankle injuries at best. Those are usually the best case scenarios. At worst, you're seeing some really disgusting, you know, lower half, possibly, arm, depending on which angle you go in, injuries, man. Like you don't want to see that. As a manager of a young team, I would address that now and say, look, guys, if you guys make mistakes like that, that's okay. It, did O'Neal Cruz kind of misplay the situation and not go down early enough? Yeah, probably. And if you're gonna do that, then bail. I don't want to see any of these young guys getting injured in a situation like that. Yeah, I mean that goes for all teams. At this early stage in the season, this isn't a big game. Like it wasn't like we were talking about. It wasn't bottom of the ninth, 2 outs of a World Series game. It's the 10th game of the season. Do you want to win? Yeah, absolutely. Do you need the win? No, no, you don't. You got plenty of baseball ahead of you, and so I would much rather. And maybe that's me in a kind of nuanced baseball thought. I'd much rather see these guys play a little bit more cognizant of their health and notice that a late slide like that is not safe and not worth it at this stage of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, a Pittsburgh roster that the more you look at it has some more and more questions. The two hottest hitters right now, Andrew McCutchen, who's Andrew McCutchen, and how about Brian Reynolds? He said, "Oh, you're not going to give me that opt-out clause. Oh, it's all right. I'm about to go and have a really amazing season, tied for second right now in the majors with our guy Max Muncy, who, hey, we're going to get into him in a little bit, for homers, but he's been killing it. Their pitching has been a little bit questionable. Mitch Keller has been great. Oviedo has been great. Some of their bullpen guys have been great. Rich Hill obviously has been struggling just a tad, but he's Tom Brady in baseball. I mean, he's old, and I don't think we never know he's gonna retire. He could next year could come to the Dodgers. I mean, I don't know, just saying. But Pirates have been pretty good, and hoping they can keep that up. Just had that, like we said, this is gonna be a fun ball club to watch. Cubs, fun ball club to watch. So many guys pulling it. They locked up their guy Ian Happ for 3 more years. They look like they are going hard in on contention in the next couple of years. Of course, they extended Nico Horner. They extended. They obviously extended Happ, and they gave Swanson that big boy contract. So I think we might see guys who are definitely showing themselves. I think if all goes well, we can see a Justin Steele contract extension this year. And boy, 0.75 ERA through 2 games, 12 innings. That's a pretty good way to start your season. Marcus Stroman, a pretty good way to start your season. They've had guys that have been showing up. Dansby Swanson, I mean, has a 400 batting average. 400. Like I don't know if you know that, Jacob, but that's pretty damn good. But they've been a good team. And how about the Brewers, who we kind of wrote off, but they said no, no, no. They watched the podcast, Jacob. They have a chip on their shoulder. Um, and it's not the guys you would expect to be doing it. It's the rookies. Joey Weimer has been great. Bryce Terang has been great. How about Garrett Mitchell? How's your 316, 366, 637 slugging stat line? That's pretty nice. Willie Adames getting it done. Brian Anderson comeback year. I called it. I said I like this move for them to give him some depth. I thought maybe he could be a bench piece, and he's been crushing the ball. And they're pitching. I mean, what can you say? It's a little worrying when your best pitcher right now is Freddie Peralta, because Burns is kind of one of the best pitchers in baseball and has a 5+ ERA. But that team, they're showing everyone that no, 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 they're still here to play. They don't need to go spend those big bucks because they still have guys doing it everywhere, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's rotation. And Wade Miley coming out of nowhere with through 2 games and having a nice start to the season. But yeah, they've been putting up some numbers. And another team that has been putting up some surprise numbers, Jacob. Like I said, we're gonna head out back west to the National League West. Colorado 5-8. Not a lot to say for them. But I want to say the one thing for them right now. Kyle Freeland. Wow. Yeah, we were talking about him in the WBC of how he was doing great, and he has kept it going. Wow, he deserved that contract extension. San Fran, you've looked good here in some places. I love seeing Mets fans. I didn't love seeing it, but it was just funny to me how they got so upset after Darren Ruff almost took Kershaw deep last night when I was watching the game. I was like, there's no way. I mean, they won. They got everyone literally in that deal. They got JD Davis essentially for free. So that's just a great deal for them. San Diego, they're San Diego. I mean, we're trying to say as least biased as we can, but they are a great ball club. Machado has been hitting. They've all been hitting. The Dodgers, our Dodgers, they've been great. They're tied with the Padres for second place. And how about your Arizona Diamondbacks? 8-5, first place. We talked about them Yes, they can approach 500. No, they are way over it right now. They are in no ways of stopping. It looks like for them. So Jacob, what do you think, man? Do you think it's not going to be a Dodgers Padres Giants? It's going to be a Padres Dodgers Diamondbacks for the rest of the year?
Well, let's start with the Rockies and saying they've started out pretty strong for the most part. They've been getting beat up by West teams. I mean, they got pummeled by the Dodgers. Um, did we expect it? Yeah, but they've been putting up numbers, and they're not at least from what I can tell so far, they don't want to be the pushover bottom team. Will they be the bottom team? Right now, the way it's looking, yeah, probably. Um, but can they at least put up some fights and maybe win some games, at least out here in the West to make it interesting? Yeah, absolutely. And for the sake of me being a Dodger fan, I hope they beat up all the West teams other than the Dodgers. So we'll see how that goes. The Giants, you know, are they playing great baseball right now? No. Did they look good in one of the games during the against the Dodgers? Yeah. Alex Wood didn't look very sharp, but their bullpen did, and their bullpen stepped up and really saved that game. Um, but as for the offense, it's been a lot like it's been a lot like a lot of the other teams, boom or bust. Um, in fact, they had the same thing with the Dodgers in when they win big. When they don't, or when they lose, they cannot score a run to save their lives. Um, and that's what we've seen a lot from a lot of these different teams. San Diego is looking relatively good. I mean, all things considered, they've played the Rockies, Diamondbacks, Braves, and Mets. Um, and to consider the fact that they dropped two against the Rockies and they're still 7-6, not bad. Not bad, especially considering these Diamondbacks are not gonna go down easy. We'll get into them more later. Um, but they've been looking pretty good. Being able to take 3 out of 4 from the Braves is great. One out of 3 from the Mets. I mean, you'd almost expect it, right? I mean, you expect the Mets should be the top dogs right now. I mean, on paper, have they been? No. But on paper, absolutely they should be. And so taking 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3, in a 3-game series, not the end of the world. Um, the Dodgers. Our Dodgers. Man, I love talking about these Dodgers. Um, have they looked great? No. No, they have not. But a lot of good things to see from the Dodgers. Pitching staff for the majority of games has looked great. The starting pitching for the majority of the games has looked great. But there has been some stutters with our pitching throughout the series. Now, Michael, I'm gonna tell you this is how I view games. Okay, if I see that your team loses a game where your pitching rotation gives up 5 runs or less, that is not a loss on the pitching rotation. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care if it's 5 runs in the first inning, 5 runs in the ninth inning, 5 runs on errors. Like I don't care if your pitching staff in 9 innings can only give up 5 runs, that's not a loss on the pitching staff. I think that's a reasonable amount of runs to give up and say, okay, they did their job. You figure starting pitcher gives up 2 to 3 runs in 6 innings, bullpen gives up 2 to 3 runs in those last three. That's reasonable. Um, but we've seen a couple of games where the Dodgers offense just goes completely silent. We've seen it against the Diamondbacks. We've seen it against the Giants in that 5-0 shutout, first shutout of the season for the Dodgers. Hopefully the last. Um, that it's been brutal. The offense has gone quiet some of these games. Now, on the flip side, if your offense scores 7 runs or more, that's not a loss on the offense. That's a loss on the pitching. Um, and if you're going out there scoring 9, 10 runs and you lose, yikes. That's that's really bad. Like if you lose a 7-run game, okay, 8-run game, all right, 9, 10, 11. Come on now. What do you expect from these guys? Um, they're a great offense, but you can't expect them to put up 12 runs to save your pitchers. That's just not reasonable. Um, and I've really liked what I've seen from the Dodgers offense for the most part. I mean, Max Muncy. Come on. That guy. I don't know what it is. If he's got to just play against San Francisco, I'm all on board. I just love seeing him in San Francisco, and I don't mean in a San Francisco jersey. I mean just sticking it to the Giants, man. Absolutely pulverizing the ball. 4 home runs in 2 games. In 2 games. Two of them. Wait, no. One grand slam, I think 2 3-run bombs and a solo home run, I believe.
Yeah.
Just oh my god. What like I can only imagine that Giants fans were cheering at the airport, seeing the airplane take off from San Francisco, knowing that Max Muncy was not going to be there anymore. Because goddamn, like every series, man, it really is like every series. Just Max Muncy, when he is facing the Giants, especially in San Francisco, he sends the balls into orbit every time without fail. Great stuff from Trace Thompson. Great stuff from James Outman and Miguel Vargas, dude. We are
Rookie
seeing these
of
rookies.
the year.
I am so happy that they are competing with each other. Right now, they are pushing each other to be like, no, I'm gonna be the best rookie. No, I'm gonna be the best rookie. And James Outman is making a case, man. Uh, I I didn't really think too much of him coming into the season. I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting too much from him. If we could have seen a 250 season with a couple of bombs and some decent clutch hits, I would have been more than happy. If we could see anything more than that, oh man, that's gravy. And the Diamondbacks, dude. Going on to the Diamondbacks, man. Those guys can run. Dude, it's like every inning it's like you get on base and it's like they're on third all of a sudden. Like how do you manage that? It's just so hard, and they are such a smart team. You know, we love small ball here, and they are the definition of small ball. Bloop hits, stolen bases, good walks, bunts here and there. Like that's it, man. That's the essence of baseball. That's what I love. Is it all exciting? No, not really. But that's great baseball, man. And you're building a team around speed and contact in a ballpark like the Diamondbacks ballpark. Perfect. That's what you need. You don't need big home run hitters because they're going to hit it 417 feet to outfield and it'll get caught. You hit it 417 feet just about any other ballpark, that ball's gone. But in the Diamondbacks field at Chase Field, no, that's an out to center. Um, so great stuff from them, man. Like I am very excited as a baseball fan. I'm very excited as a Dodgers fan. I'm very scared to see what we see from the Diamondbacks. Granted, they played the Dodgers very well because they saw them a lot. Um, not to put them down or anything, but there is that essence of the game. You see a team for 8 games within a 10-game span. You're gonna pick up some stuff on their pitchers, especially the bullpen. Um, and so, but there's a lot to look forward to from that Diamondbacks fan club.
Absolutely. And like you said, they're building around contact and speed. And what's crazy, Jacob, they're pitching. Most of it has been not that amazing. Zach Gallen obviously had a bounce back start, but he started off the season rough, 4.58 ERA. Merrill Kelly has been getting it done, but the guy I was really excited to see and kind of scared as a Dodger fan, but as a baseball fan, I'm like, okay, Drew Jameson, 4 games, 12 innings, 1.46 ERA, can top out a 99. That guy was looking as a reliever, as like a long inning guy, but the more and more this season goes on, the more and more I saw him, I'm like, this kid can be special, like for real. And he's been showing it. And Chafin has been good, but overall, this bullpen has been kind of this pitching staff has been kind of would you what kind of what you would expect, but kind of not what you would expect. Same it's like with the likes of Zach Allen, some of their bullpen pieces, but their offense, man, and an offense where Christian Walker is struggling. They are in first place. Corbin Carroll, amazing. Evan Longoria has been hitting against lefties. He's been hitting the ball really well. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has been doing it for a couple of games. Kyle Lewis has been has a rough start. Marte has been doing great. Perdomo has been doing great. Josh Rojas, Alec Thomas, Jake McCarthy. Some of these guys don't have the stat lines you would ideally want them to have, but they are going up in clutch moments and doing it. And I think this ball club it's a ball club of young energy, and they just love playing it. They love playing baseball. These are baseball dudes, and a guy like Evan Longoria, who is a hitter's hitter, teaching all those rookies. Oof, this could be a very scary team, this year and the next years to come. So we love to see this as a baseball fan, as you said, but as Dodger fans, we'll see. Well, that will be an interesting race down the season. Going to the Giants, I mean, like you said, they've had some nice moments with Conforto, but overall, I don't think this is a team you would expect to be doing too much, especially as of right now. They've been a little bit struggling, but let's see what they can do. Um, Over the course of the year, I didn't even know Matt Beatty was on their roster until he was pitching for them in their blowout. I was like, wow, okay, Beatty. Well, I see how it is for the Padres, not the Giants, but their pitching has been pretty good. Alex Cobb's been great. Disclafani's been great. But Wood has been obviously great. Junius, a couple guys here and there, but we'll see how they handle it through the rest of the season. Rockies, like we said, not a lot to expect from them. Some good players. Blackman has been great. Bryan has been great. Freeland. Let's go to San Diego Padres, and they've been hitting the ball really well. Bogarts, 327 average, 4 bombs. Soto has been struggling a bit on the batting average side, 217. Kind of keeping that San Diego slump from last year, but still hitting the ball really well. And still has Jacob a 368 average. 368 OPB and a 400 plus like. Because he's Juan Soto. It's just what he does. Trent Grisham has been hitting bombs, but the on base has been in question. Nelson Cruz, man. Bring comeback year? What is he doing? Was one of the not to diss on him, but one of the worst players in baseball last year, and it's like, oh, okay, let's bring out the boomstick, and has been hitting. Come on, man. Ha-Seong Kim has been hitting. Matt Carpenter has been struggling. Cronenworth has been struggling. Couple guys here and there. Manny Machado has actually been not what you would expect from him, but he's still keeping it well. And their pitching staff, man, kind of good, but the big question we've been having is can they keep it up? And their ace right now, Blake Snell, contract year, has not been keeping it up. He kind of sold it. Big Meat Pete launched that ball into the stands. I was watching that game the other day. Again, same thing kind of with the White Sox. You're gonna tell me your best pitcher, your starting pitcher on the staff is Seth Lugo? Come on, man. Like, yeah, that's awesome. You want to see that, but that means either your other pitchers are really amazing or they're not doing that great. And they're not doing that great. Michael Wacha has been solid, but overall, Nick Martinez 6.17 ERA, Yu Darvish 4.76. Obviously, again, beginning of the season, the innings are going to get longer. They're going to welcome themselves into the season, but that is something to keep an eye on. If they're struggling with pitching, I will have no doubt in my mind they'll make a move for a pitcher that has the contract year. Hey, I kind of see. You know what? If Lucas Giolito can do some innings and they see what they like, Padres, hey, you might got yourself a guy there. And going on to our Dodgers, they're the Dodgers. Max Muncy, giant killer, man. I was just so happy for him. I'm hoping he can keep it up. We love to see that. Trace Thompson has been hitting the ball. Will Smith, all-star catcher. Please get this man an all-star. Please, I am begging you. Oh, man, he's been great. Mookie Betts has been great. Freddie's been great. A lot of guys up and down this roster. JD Martinez, he's washed, you say? Leads the majors in extra base hits. 2 triples, by the way. He's speed.
Doubled his total from last year already in triples. It's great stuff.
Great stuff. You love to see that. Obviously, a hitter's hitter. Some guys that you kind of expect not to be the greatest, but are kind of like struggling. Miguel Rojas having some struggles there. Peralta, Barnes, Hayward, but he hasn't been. He's gotten limited playing time. But Chris Taylor has been struggling. You hate to see that. I really want him to succeed. But the man of the hour for the hitting, Jacob, like you said, James Outman, nothing short of just phenomenal from him. 289 average, 438 OPB, and a 600 plus slugging. He's just seeing the ball and he is hitting it really well. Like you said, kind of questionable pitching staff. Michael Grove has gotten rocked in both of his 2 starts. Syndergaard got rocked his last time out. The bullpen, granted, you're not getting like 9 innings a game to, or 6 innings, 7 innings a game to go out there and show what you got, but some of them have been getting a little bit rocked. How's Shelby Miller in your shutout 5 innings? Like, I'm okay. Another gem rising right now for the Dodgers coaching staff. And I think if they can keep it up, this will be a very interesting division to keep a part of as a baseball fan. You love to see it, the D-backs. You love to see that as a baseball fan. As a Dodger fan, kind of really scary. And a team and a fan base that might have to be a little scared right now, Jacob. They've lost 2 in a row.
I will say, Michael, we've always said that Chase Field is Dodger Stadium 2.0, and I've got to say, I'm as a baseball fan very happy to see there are a lot of D-backs fans out there now, a lot. Now, I mean, obviously, there's still quite a few Dodgers fans 'cause I think Phoenix is a nice hub for Dodgers fans. But man, they're bringing out their own fans, and you want to know what? It's because they're finally back to competing ways. With at least maybe not a very flashy roster, but one that can perform at least up to this point, and has been going toe to toe with the Dodgers. Which is again great for them, great as a baseball fan. You don't want to see it as a Dodger fan, but such is life.
We're gonna start wrapping things up with our second to last division, the NL East. Like I said, a fan base that is not like what they're seeing right now. The Philadelphia Phillies, they are 4-8 in fourth place, only half a game above the Nationals, who are 4-9. That's not something you like to see. The Miami Marlins, hey, they've come out to play. Luis Arias, first cycle in Marlins history. Got to give it up for him. That was amazing. They're 6-7. The Mets 7-6. And another team we kind of, not really in a huge way, but kind of wrote off, Jacob. But I think they watch the podcast too. The Atlanta Braves, man, they've been shoving everywhere, man. They've just been hitting, and it's just been incredible what they've been doing. A 9-4, obviously, kind of got rocked in that Padre series, but they've been nothing short of phenomenal. So tell me, Jacob, what do you think of this division right now? Do you think the Phillies can make a huge comeback? I mean, obviously they can, but do you think the Marlins have it in them to keep third place?
Well, obviously, starting with the Nationals, you know, we've been over these types of teams, non-starters, some small lights off in the distance, maybe something that they could look forward to. Um, but really nothing to be terribly excited about, at least not in these 2 weeks. Phillies. Should Phillies fans be scared? Not really. Um, because if you think about it, they've looked like this in previous seasons. Very slow starts, nothing going the first half of seasons. And then they change it up a little bit, and then they just casually go to be the National League champions and almost win a World Series. Yeah, oh well. Yeah, I will say the one worrying thing is they got absolutely mobbed in their first 3 or 4 games of the season. I mean, they would have had a better chance. Um, a, a team would have had a better chance being like a little league team playing against, uh, you know, uh, the Dodgers. Um, at giving up less runs. I mean, dude, I think it was like 27 runs in the first 3 games or the first two games. Just ugly. I mean, I think they were the first team to ever to use a position player this year with the new special rules on when position players can pitch. Um, it it was a very scary moment at the beginning of the season, and I say moment because they've started to look a little bit better. They are on a 2-game losing streak, but it's not as horrific as the first few games of the season. Um, Marlins, I don't know that I can get behind them, man. Like, are they 6-7? Sure, in a division where the Phillies are currently not really performing very well. Um, Currently, 2 weeks in, Sandy Alcantara, that dude is just a different breed of human, if human at all. Um, Going complete game shutout in your second game of the season. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. Is that great? Yeah, but it's a little bit of an issue. I mean, you got to think again. We've talked about it's a 162 game season. You don't want your ace out there throwing 110 pitches in the second game of the season. Is he built up from the World Baseball Classic? Yeah, yeah, he is. But that doesn't mean that you should be wearing him out, every day that you can. You should at some point be trying to conserve his ability. Um, is he the type of guy that wants to go out there and throw 100 pitches every game and finish it out himself? Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, he seems like that kind of guy. But as a manager, you gotta kind of manage that. You can't just let him do that. At least not at the beginning of the season. If we're in June and he wants to do that, let him. He's been out there for a couple of months now. But second game of the season? Nah, man. I personally don't agree with that. Um, but I mean, on the bright side of things, he is healthy to this current point and pitching absolutely phenomenally. Question is, how long are we going to see that going if he's going to be keep pitching long innings? The Mets, they started out a little rough, still looking okay. Are they looking great? No. Um, are they clicking on all cylinders? No. Um, but a solid team, second place in the division behind the Braves. Nothing to scoff at right now. Although if I'm the Mets GM, if you don't win 162 games with how much money you're spending, probably a loss. But you know, it is what it is. I don't think the Mets are a big talking point right now because they aren't doing what we thought they would do currently. Right out the gate. We thought they would come out the gates firing on all cylinders. They haven't yet. That's okay. They have time to, but they got to get going real quick, especially if this Braves team is going to continue playing the way they're playing. And to get into them, it frustrates me, Michael, that the Braves have consistently played way better than you could expect. Now, am I trying to say that the Braves are a dog shit team? Absolutely not. They are a great team. They have been for the past couple of years. Are they the most flashy roster out there? No. In fact, even in this division alone, I can see two flashier rosters just on paper. But are they getting it done? Yeah. Yeah, they are. Offensively, defensively, pitching wise, yeah, they are getting it done. Now, I did just see Orlando Arcia win on the IL, which is probably going to be a little bit of a hit.
Blow, yeah.
But overall, man, this Braves team just continues to impress me with the fact that they never really have this intensely flashy roster, at least not for the past several years. But they always get it done, man. They always find a way to get it done. Their pitchers, their hitters, their defenders. I mean, they know how to play, when to play. And last season it came a little bit late, but it came right when they needed to. And man, dude, if they keep on this pace, They might steal that top dog spot from the Mets, and if I'm the Mets, I would be obliterated by how much money you're spending, how much more money you're spending from these Braves. Um, and if you don't win the title, I mean, if you don't win the title, that's game over. I mean, we talked about not winning the World Series, and that's bad news. If you don't win the title against this division, I mean, again, Phillies are a flashy roster. Braves not very flashy, but very good. Um, with the amount of money you're spending, if you're not winning the title, embarrassing, flat out embarrassing. Um, anything short of 105 wins for the Mets would be embarrassing. So, they got to step it up. They got to prove that they are the top dogs over the Braves. But right now, Braves, they're going strong.
Absolutely. Nationals, not really a lot you can say about them. Had some good games against the Angels. It's nice, like the Angels. Again, I mean they're the Angels, but Nationals had some good games there. Phillies, not what you want to see, man. Especially coming out the gate, how highly we talked of them. Their pitching is abysmal right now, and it just sucks to see. Hopefully they can bring him back, but if not, you don't know, man, and that's gonna be an interesting storyline to see. The Marlins, same thing. Not a lot you can really say. Jesus Luzardo, AJ Puk have been going strong. They've been kind of nice. Jazz Chisholm has been great. Garrett Cooper, okay. I see why you were an all-star last year. He's been pumping it up. Jorge Soler's had some moments. Guys all around this roster have been having some moments, and I think that this might be a team, again, not competing, but hey, if the Phillies keep going down, you never know. But if the Marlins, I think, again, a team we could definitely look forward for in the next couple of years. The Mets, as we expected, their pitching staff is being tested. Scherzer has been roughed up in his first couple of starts. Kodai Senga came over and has been dominating. So that's what you want to see. Tyler McGill in a couple of games since coming up has been great. But like we said, one of the biggest questions, and it's going to be the question with Diaz gone, is that bullpen. They used the position player to pitch in Luis Guillorme, and that bullpen has not been that great as you would want it to be. Granted, now you have had some nice performances from the likes of Drew Smith, David Robertson, who's been shutting out lights, and John Curtis, but overall they've been kind of struggling on all cylinders there in the pen. So you hope they can fix that. The hitting has been nothing short of excellent, so they've been doing great there. Narvaez is out for a while, which is going to bring up. They said that they are Bob Alvarez already. He's expected to get a lot more playing time. You love to see that. But the Braves, man, the Braves, they've been nothing short of phenomenal. They have another rookie because they called that Bryce Elder, who made his debut last year in two games, two started games, 12 innings, shutout. What more can you say from them? They're one of the other best organizations in baseball when it comes to about everything, and they've just been lights out on all cylinders. Granted, now you have some guys that aren't performing as great as you'd want to. Sean Murphy kind of having a slow start. Harris having a slow start. Ozuna, Arcia, obviously Von Grissom is going to come up now, and I fully expect him to become the rookie of the year now and get his bag because I feel like that's just what the Braves do. Matt Olson, Acuna, and Albies are and Riley are taking the reins, and they are hot, and I'm really excited to see this race. But like you said, man, Mets, just come on at this point. Like, what are you doing? And as we move into our final division, Jacob, obviously Boston 5-8, Baltimore 7-6. We love to see that. Toronto 8-4 at your Toronto Blue Jays. You love them. The Yankees 8-4, tied with them. And how about, I think most of that what we're talking about in this division, we can skip over a little bit of the lower teams. Tampa Bay Rays, Jacob, they're 13-0. A run differential of 71. Now, granted, when you take a look at their schedule, like you said, the Nationals, the A's, the Tigers, even the Red Sox, who are a good team who can be a good team, but are not the greatest teams you would want to face. I mean, you can't, like you said, you were talking to me earlier, you cannot have scripted a better schedule for this team, man. Granted, they've had some close games, but the Rays are the superior team in so many ways, and they're going to come out on top. Will that change against the Blue Jays this weekend? That's going to be interesting to see if they win these 3 games, Jacob. I'm changing my mind and I'm going Rays going to Ray and they're winning the division because that's just incredible to see. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, starting with the Red Sox, we've talked about, can they be a force within this division? Yes. Um, do we expect them to be? No, not by any means. Not in this division, not right now. They are not the roster that they used to be. They've got some great pieces, not enough. Not in this division, not in this competitive division. It really isn't. Um, so we'll have to see throughout the season. I don't have too many expectations for this Red Sox team. I hope they just go out and cause problems. That's going to be the most that they could do, and that could be a really interesting thing coming down to the wire during the end of the season. Um, but realistically, I don't see them really doing anything. The O's, man, those fun O's. We just love them as a roster. And it is so much fun to see a young, fun team playing well. Same thing with the Pirates, man. I love to see them. I love watching their highlights. I love watching their celebrations, their beer bong celebration. Thought that was fun. Um, Great stuff from them. I don't even think I need to really get into too much detail with their gameplay because they're out there playing baseball, man. And you love to see it. Blue Jays, I mean, they came out. Blue Jays and Yankees, I would say, came out exactly how we thought they would. Playing well, playing good for the most part, having some great games. Couple of off days, but that's fine. You expect that from top teams. 8-4, you're a great record. You're sitting solid. That's basically what you're aiming for. As a top team, you're aiming for 2 out of 3 for just about every series you play. If you can win
Yeah.
2 out of 3 of every series you play, yeah, I mean you're getting into the playoffs. You just are. You're not missing the playoffs at a 2 and 3 rate, 2 out of 3 rate. So from both the Blue Jays and Yankees, they're playing exactly how we thought they would.
How about Franchi Cordero underrated signing? He's been
Wow, yeah,
hitting. Gleyber
no kidding.
Torres finally getting him back, and you'd love to see that, man. So yeah.
Yeah, you really do. And could they have been playing better and won more games? Absolutely. I mean you're gonna see that from any team ever. Um, but
Sorry about those technical difficulties, but Jacob, continue what you were saying about the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Obviously, a hard start. Hot start. You'd love to see that for them, and obviously the Rays. What do you think?
yeah, with the Yankees and the Blue Jays, it's exactly what we expected from them, right? It's basically we figured they were going to come out, they were going to be two of the dominant teams of the division, and we've seen that. Could they play better? Absolutely. Could they win more games? Absolutely. We saw the Yankees struggling a little bit with the Giants early on. Um, Offensively at least. But overall, great stuff from what we're seeing with those two teams. Um, Now with the Rays, um, are they a good squad? Yeah, they are. I mean, there's no denying that. Um, what's his name? Is it Jeffrey
Jeffy
Springs?
Springs, who, by the
Dude,
way, just went on
I
the
saw, I
IL.
saw. That's a huge hit to them. Um, Brutal. But he was, I mean, lights out for them. Exactly what they needed to start out the season. But let's call a spade a spade. They have played the worst teams in all of baseball. I mean, nine of their 13 wins are against god awful teams. I mean, like you had brought up, I told you, if you gave a team a chance to make their own schedule and pick the teams that they were going to face at the beginning of the season, there's no teams you would have picked other than the Tigers, the Nationals, the Athletics. That's the teams who I would want to play. They are god awful on for many different reasons. Not just because one of their pitchers isn't pitching well or they've got holes in their rotation. They don't have anything. I mean, if you look at their these teams compared to the rest, they are horrific. And I'm not trying to say that to put them down or anything. It's just it's realistic. They are all not good teams. They're the worst teams in baseball. Um, and to see them going 13-0, along with against the likes of the Red Sox, is that good for them? Absolutely. That is a great start. That is a dream start. In fact, that was a dream schedule to start against. But, you know, is it reproducible throughout the entire season? That's where the questions begin. You know, is their 13 start going to lead them to winning the division? In my eyes, no. But like you said, if we see them go up against the Blue Jays, and they dominate the Blue Jays, and I don't mean like three. Let's say they win three one-run games, I would still have my reservations. But if they blow out the Blue Jays, man, um, like you said, my thoughts on them might drastically change if we see them dominate the Blue Jays. Because at that point, it's not them dominating god awful teams. It's them dominating some teams who mean business. So, um, it'll be interesting to see. I'm very excited to see this series because I think this is going to tell us a lot about what this season um, will end up looking like in the East, whether or not it's going to be dominated by the Rays, the Blue Jays, or a combination of the two, including the Yankees. Um, it'll be interesting to see what comes of that.
I agree. There are going to be a lot of series kind of storylines this season, especially with the likes of what you were talking about. Marlins Diamondbacks series. Can the Diamondbacks keep it up? Can the Marlins jump out of nowhere? Can the Guardians keep it up? Twins and Yankees, as we film this, 11 Twins are winning 11-1. As also we film this, Phillies trying to bounce back out of their hole, down 6-2 to the Reds. Yikes! Not what you want to see at all, and that's a yikes. Angels Red Sox. That's going to be an interesting series, as we've already mentioned. Rangers and Astros. Keep an eye out for that one, folks. Thank you guys for joining us in this episode of Let's Talk Baseball. We'll be back on Monday to our regular schedule talking about the weekend game, but we are excited for this weekend of baseball. The season is back, baseball is back, and oh, are we so happy. I am Michael Herrera, joined by my good friend Jacob Payne, and we will see you next time.